All right, so have you ever felt like maybe you're just like one mindset shift away from really hitting your full potential?
Hmm.
Today, we are going to be diving into Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich,
Okay.
based on this really cool summary video from the Swedish investor on YouTube to see if
Yeah.
that's really true.
Yeah.
And this book, it seems like it's been topping like bestseller lists for ages.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something to it, right?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, what's so intriguing about it is that while the book explores various paths to wealth, trader, investor, entrepreneur, you name it,
Mm-hmm.
it consistently emphasizes the power of mindset as like the foundation for success.
Interesting.
Hill was convinced. And this video kind of echoes the sentiment that our thoughts, they possess just incredible power, especially when they're fueled by a clear purpose and an intense desire.
So it's not just about like wishing upon a star, it's really about harnessing the energy of our thoughts.
Exactly.
I remember trying to manifest a winning lottery ticket once.
Ha.
Didn't quite work out.
Well, manifesting a specific outcome like that might be a little tricky,
Yeah.
but the core principle is fascinating.
Yeah.
The video uses some really compelling historical examples
okay.
to illustrate how powerful belief can be.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Gandhi Washington, Martin Luther King Jr. Each of them started with an idea, a vision for a better world,
All right.
and just an unwavering conviction in its possibility.
Yeah.
That internal belief fueled their actions and ultimately led to real-world change.
Makes you wonder if they ever had like those moments of doubt, like
Yeah.
those what am I even doing kind of thoughts.
Oh, of course, doubts are part of the human experience,
Right.
but the key is not letting those doubts take control.
Yeah.
Hill stresses that we must actively choose our thoughts
Mm-hmm.
rather than letting our minds become cluttered with negativity or distractions.
Yeah.
He has this really striking quote.
Okay.
He says, "If you do not conquer self, you will be conquered by self."
Oh.
It's a call to action, to take charge of our inner world.
Otherwise, it's like we're at the mercy of whatever random thoughts just happen to float through our heads.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we translate this power of thought into tangible success? Where do we even begin?
Well, that brings us to Hill's second key takeaway,
Okay.
the necessity of a burning desire.
A burning desire.
Not just a wish or a hope,
Right.
but a desire so intense that it propels you forward,
Mhm.
almost like a force of nature.
Wow.
The video uses a really vivid analogy.
Okay.
A warrior burning his ships upon arriving in a new land.
Talk about commitment.
Haha, right?
No turning back once those ships are ash.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's a symbolic act that eliminates any option for retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And Hill suggests that the universe itself responds to that level of unwavering desire,
Interesting.
while vague wishes simply don't carry the same weight.
So there has to be follow through.
Yes, absolutely.
Action.
He even outlines a 6-step method for transforming desire into reality.
Okay, lay it on me.
All right, so it starts with setting a clear goal, establishing a deadline, developing a plan, and importantly, putting it all down in writing.
Putting it in writing.
Yes, this transforms a dream into a concrete, actionable plan.
Got it.
The last step is autosuggestion.
Okay, now auto-suggestion. I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit like, the power of positive self-talk,
Right.
but is there more to it than that?
There's a really fascinating psychological element at play here.
Okay.
The video gives this very relatable example. Think about how even repeating a lie can eventually make you start to believe it.
That's true.
Now imagine applying that same principle to your goals.
Okay.
By consistently feeding your mind with positive affirmations, you begin to believe in their possibility. And that belief, in turn, fuels your actions.
So it's like we're literally reprogramming our subconscious minds for success
Yes.
by repeatedly affirming our desired outcomes.
Exactly.
I've definitely experienced how powerful those internal narratives can be. But even with burning desire and positive self-talk, I imagine there are still times when things get tough, when doubts creep in.
Absolutely. And that's where the third key takeaway comes in.
Okay, hit me.
Persistence.
Persistence.
This is where the story of Henry Ford and the V8 engine really highlights the power of refusing to give up.
All right, Mr. Ford, let's hear it.
Ford was determined to create a V8 engine cast in a single block,
Wow.
even when his engineers insisted it was impossible.
Really?
After countless setbacks and naysayers,
Oh, man.
they eventually found a way, proving that persistence can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles.
Makes you wonder how many brilliant ideas have been abandoned simply because people gave up too soon.
Right.
You can just imagine those engineers rolling their eyes at Ford's stubbornness, but then, bam, they crack the code.
They did.
There must be an incredible sense of satisfaction in proving the doubters wrong.
For sure.
Like I told you so.
Hill believed that persistence not only increases the likelihood of success, but also builds resilience. Every challenge we overcome strengthens our belief in our own ability to handle whatever life throws at us.
Right.
This ties back to the power of mindset, that unwavering belief in yourself,
Yeah.
even when faced with adversity, is essential for achieving any worthwhile goal.
Okay, so we've got the power of thought, a burning desire, and unstoppable persistence. Are we ready to conquer the world yet?
Well, Hill throws in another fascinating and perhaps unexpected element.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
He believed that sexual energy is one of the most powerful forces within us,
Whoa.
and that it can be channeled into creativity and achievement.
Now this is getting interesting. I wasn't quite expecting that twist in a book about getting rich.
It's definitely a concept that raises eyebrows even today.
For sure.
He uses the example of the Trojan War, suggesting that it was ultimately ignited by this very force.
Wow. Okay.
He also points to the effects of castration on animals, emphasizing how the removal of sexual energy can diminish their vitality and drive.
So it's not about suppressing or denying this energy, but rather finding a way to harness it for something greater.
Exactly. Hill referred to this process as transmutation,
Transmutate.
taking this raw, primal energy and transforming it into something constructive.
Interesting.
He suggested that this is a key source of creative genius and a driving force behind many great achievements throughout history.
Wow.
However, he also acknowledged the inherent challenges,
Right.
especially in a world full of temptation and distraction.
So many shiny objects.
It requires discipline and a conscious effort to channel that energy effectively. In fact, the video even suggests that this might be even more challenging today than in Hill's time.
I can definitely see that with all the stimulation and instant gratification readily available at our fingertips.
Exactly.
So it takes a real effort to stay focused and direct our energy towards our goals.
For sure.
But if we can master that discipline, Hill suggests we can tap into a wellspring of potential.
Absolute.
It's a fascinating concept and certainly one that invites further exploration. But before we move on, I'm curious what stands out to you from these first 4 takeaways.
Let me think about that for a second.
Yeah.
What really strikes me is this idea that success isn't solely about external factors or strategies, but about cultivating a specific internal state.
Okay.
It's about mastering yourself, your fears, and your potential, which ultimately shapes your reality.
Right.
Hill's insights seem to go far beyond just accumulating wealth. They offer a roadmap for personal growth and fulfillment.
That's a powerful observation. And speaking of fears, that leads us perfectly into the 5th key takeaway from the video.
All right, let's do it.
He'll believe that fear can be a major roadblock on the path to success.
Yeah.
And he identified 6 ghosts of fear that we need to confront head on.
Ooh, spooky.
But let's dive into those after a quick break.
Okay. I'm ready to face these fearsome ghosts.
All right.
I've definitely felt the grip of fear holding me back at times.
Yeah.
What are these 6 fears that Hill identifies, and how can we overcome them?
Let's tackle them one by one.
The first fear Hill dives into is the fear of poverty.
Fear of poverty.
He observed that this fear often manifests as indifference towards money or a lack of ambition.
Interesting.
It's as if the fear of scarcity becomes so overwhelming that people can't even envision a life of abundance.
I can see how that could become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're convinced you'll always struggle financially, you might not even try to improve your situation.
Precisely. The video suggests that a key to conquering this fear lies in defining what enough truly means to you. Once you have a clear sense of your needs and priorities, you can focus on meeting those needs without letting the fear of scarcity paralyze you.
It's like finding that sweet spot between striving for more and being content with what you have right.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the next ghost we need to bust?
The second fear Hill explores is the fear of criticism.
Fear of criticism.
This often shows up as nervousness in social situations, a fear of public speaking, or a hesitancy to share your ideas. It's that nagging voice in your head that worries about what others will think, preventing you from taking risks or expressing yourself fully.
Man, this one hits close to home.
Ah.
I used to be terrified of public speaking. Even the thought of presenting in front of my class would send my heart racing.
It's a common fear, but the video offers some surprisingly simple advice.
Okay.
Embrace the occasional cringe.
Embrace the cringe.
It's about accepting that not everyone will love everything you do, and that's okay.
Yeah.
The more you put yourself out there, the less power those critical voices will have over you.
That's so true. I remember the first time I forced myself to give a presentation, I was convinced I was going to bomb.
Oh, no?
But I survived, and each time after that, it got a little easier. It's like building up a tolerance to the cringe.
Exactly. And with practice, that fear starts to lose its grip.
Yeah.
Now, fear number 3 on Hill's list is the fear of ill health.
Fear of ill health.
He observed that this fear often manifests as an obsession with symptoms and a tendency to catastrophize minor health issues.
Oh, I know a few people who could benefit from hearing this.
Uh-huh.
They're constantly Googling their symptoms and convinced they have some rare, life-threatening disease.
The video wisely points out that you can find a terrifying diagnosis for almost any symptom if you search long enough online.
That's true.
The key is to trust your body's resilience and focus on overall well-being rather than obsessing over every ache and pain.
It's like we need to develop a healthier relationship with our bodies, trust them to do their thing, and not jump to worst-case scenarios at the first sign of a sniffle.
Right.
Okay, what's the fourth fear that Hill wants us to conquer?
The fourth fear is the fear of loss of love.
Fear of loss of love.
This can manifest as jealousy, possessiveness, or a constant need for validation in relationships.
Okay.
It's that fear of being alone, abandoned, or unloved.
This is a tough one. It's natural to want to be loved and to feel connected.
Yeah.
But when that desire turns into fear, it can be really damaging to relationships.
The video offers a perspective shift that I found particularly insightful. Learn to be content on your own.
Be content on your own.
The idea is that if you can find happiness and fulfillment within yourself, any romantic relationship becomes a bonus, not a necessity.
Wow, that's a powerful reframing. It takes the pressure off needing a relationship to feel complete.
Right.
Okay, 2 more fears to tackle. What's next?
Number 5 is the fear of old age.
Fear of old age.
Hill observed that this fear often manifests as a negative attitude towards aging, a fear of decline, and a reluctance to embrace the later stages of life.
I think our society tends to reinforce this fear, constantly emphasizing youth and beauty, while overlooking the wisdom and experience that come with age.
It's true. The video encourages us to challenge those societal norms and embrace aging as a natural, even beautiful part of life. It's about focusing on the advantages of each stage rather than fearing the inevitable passage of time.
Right.
Imagine viewing aging as a source of accumulated wisdom, rich experiences, and hopefully a well-tended retirement fund.
Now that's an image I can get behind. Instead of dreading getting older, we can look forward to those golden years of sharing stories, traveling the world, and finally having time for all those hobbies we put on hold.
Exactly.
Let's face the final fear, the one that I think we all grapple with at some point.
The 6th and perhaps most profound fear is the fear of death.
The fear of death.
It's the ultimate unknown, the end of our physical existence.
I know some people find comfort in their faith or spiritual beliefs.
Yeah.
But even then, it's a topic that can be hard to wrap your head around.
The video offers a pragmatic perspective.
Okay.
Dwelling on death only robs you of the joy of living. Instead of fearing the inevitable, focus on making the most of the present moment.
Okay.
Live fully knowing that your time is precious and that you have the power to create a meaningful life.
It's a reminder to cherish each day, connect with loved ones, pursue our passions, and make the most of this incredible journey we call life.
Absolutely.
And what's interesting is that Hill believed all of these fears are ultimately illusions. They exist only in our minds. We have the power to control them, but it takes conscious effort and practice.
So it's not just about willpower.
Right.
It's about developing a skill.
It's like we need to develop a mental toolkit for dealing with fear. We can choose to let it paralyze us, or we can learn to acknowledge it, understand its root, and find ways to move forward in spite of it. It sounds like facing our fears head-on is crucial for unlocking our full potential.
Absolutely. Conquering these fears frees us to pursue our goals, take risks, and live a more authentic and fulfilling life.
I love that.
Now remember these 5 takeaways.
Okay.
The power of thought, a burning desire, persistence, channeling sexual energy, and conquering fear all point back to that central idea that our mindset shapes our reality.
It's about taking responsibility for our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions.
Exactly.
We can't just passively hope for success.
Right.
We need to cultivate it from within. So where do we go from here?
That's a great question.
What are your final thoughts on this deep dive into Think and Grow Rich?
Well, this video does a great job of highlighting how Hill's ideas are timeless, but it also mentions that they're perhaps even more challenging to apply today.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Okay.
Why would that be? And how can we adapt these principles to navigate our modern world with all its complexities and distractions?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're bombarded with information, constantly connected, and facing a whole new set of pressures and distractions that Hill couldn't have even imagined.
Yeah, it's almost like we're swimming against this current, of
Yeah.
instant gratification and external validation. Everywhere you look, there's something vying for our attention,
Yeah.
promising like a quick fix or a shortcut to happiness.
Exactly, and that's precisely why Hill's principles require even more conscious effort to apply today.
Right.
We're constantly bombarded with messages that contradict the idea of delayed gratification, persistent effort, and focusing on our internal world.
So how do we cultivate that inner strength, that resilience,
Yep.
in a world that often seems designed to distract us?
It takes intentionality.
Intentionality.
It's about being more mindful of the information we consume, the people we surround ourselves with, and the habits we cultivate.
Mhm.
We need to be proactive about creating an environment that supports our growth, rather than passively allowing external sources to dictate our thoughts and behaviors.
So it's like building those mental muscles,
Yeah,
training our minds to resist those tempting distractions and stay focused on the long game.
absolutely. We need to curate our mental diets just as carefully as we curate our physical diets.
I like that.
Choosing to feed our minds with positive, empowering content and limiting exposure to negativity, fear-mongering, or anything that depletes our energy and undermines our belief in ourselves.
It's like building up an immunity to those negative influences.
Yeah.
And speaking of adapting Hill's principles to the modern world, what about his concept of channeling sexual energy?
Right.
How does that translate to a world where we're constantly bombarded with sexualized imagery and messages?
That's a great question. In today's hypersexualized environment, it's not just about transmuting that energy into work or creativity. It's about navigating a whole new landscape of online interactions, social media, and readily available content that can easily become a source of distraction or unhealthy obsession.
Right. So many rabbit holes to fall down.
Exactly.
So it's even more important to develop those boundaries, to be mindful of how we engage with these powerful forces, and to ensure that our energy is directed towards our goals rather than getting lost in a vortex of digital stimulation.
I completely agree. It's about finding a healthy balance, setting limits, and being aware of the potential pitfalls.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to all of Hill's principles. We need to find ways to adapt them to our modern context while still honoring their core essence.
It's like taking those timeless tools and finding new ways to sharpen them, to make them relevant and applicable to the challenges we face in the 21st century.
Exactly.
And what does this all mean for you, dear listener? We've explored the power of thought, the importance of burning desire, the need for persistence, the potential of channeling energy, and the necessity of conquering fear.
That was.
These are all powerful tools for shaping your reality,
Yeah.
but they require effort, intentionality, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone.
Helen firmly believed that anyone, regardless of background or circumstance, could achieve great things if they cultivated the right mindset. And while the path to success might look different in our modern world,
Right.
his insights still hold immense value. It's up to each of us to take those insights, adapt them to our unique situations, and forge our own paths toward achievement and fulfillment.
Beautifully said. It's not about blindly following a formula,
Yeah.
but about understanding the underlying principles and applying them in a way that resonates with our own values and aspirations. And remember, even small steps taken consistently can lead to remarkable results over time. So think about one area where you can apply these principles today. Is there a thought you want to change, a desire you want to ignite, or a fear you want to conquer?
Great questions.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Ooh, I like that.
Take that step today and see where it leads you.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey. We're all navigating this complex world together, striving to unlock our full potential. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep those minds engaged.
Until next time, keep thinking, and who knows, maybe even grow rich.